repeats against the hour as the night sky hits the morning.
Hey, how's it going? My name is Ashley Rose. You can call me Ash or Ash Rose, depending on what you want to know me as. Welcome back. If you're, if you've been here and you're a subscriber, well, clearly you know who I am. But if you don't and you're new, well, I am a writer and interviewer and artist. I'm a lot of things. So there's that. I'm also a streamer too. And this is my channel. It's Death Arts 13. Also, you can hear me on every audio platform for podcast. So, you can check it out over there. And if I discuss, anything, of course, all photos and what I'm showing will be in what we call in sports entertainment, picture-in-picture action on one of these sides. I always forget which side I'm going to put it on. It's probably this side. I'll be honest with you. It's usually this side. So you can see everything. And of course, we are sponsored by Vampyre Cosmetics, which is now, I believe it's Rising Phoenix Cosmetics 2 now. There's a merger going on. But you can use my code. That's AROSECBAE. That's Charlie Papa Echo. It is on the screen, or you can click the link. The link's on the screen too. You can get up to 20% off there on any cosmetic needs. Up to 20%. Trust me, it helps, especially if you want to order everything in bulk. I know I do. Sometimes I order everything in bulk because you can't just buy one thing. Today, I think we're going to use the Vincent Price palette. So if you've seen the title of the video, you can guess why. And I'm not sure what color I'm going to use, but as you can see, some of these are a little mixed in because I was mixing these in one time for a photo I did, which was kind of like very Ziggy Stardust. So I used these colors versus like actually painting everything. I'm sure, if you followed me a long time, you would have seen those photos. But they're a little bit old. I think those are about like a year old. I can't talk right. Year old. And I'm a little blue today, not as in my personality, but it's because I re-dyed my hair. So if you see like a blue tint on me, that's that's the reason why, because I'm a messy hair dyer. So how are you? Yeah, good. I am here every week, and what I do is I talk about a band that I'm currently thinking of, or I have been thinking of, or there's, just whatever band I want to talk about, and I do my makeup. So if you're on audio and you can't see it, that's okay. You'll just miss out on the picture-in-picture action. So today we are going to talk about the Cramps, which is one of the most known bands, I guess, in psychobilly. It just really depends on what you want to categorize them as, because they had that very like rockabilly sound that was very sped up, which the Cramps would go on to influence, as you know, the majority of that subculture. And where is my fan? I should be more prepared, and everyone tells me this, but I'm not, and I never will be. Don't try to change me. I have been the same for years. I think it's right here. If you hear like a lot of noise, that's what it is. Yeah, it's right here. Don't try to change me. I'm already too old to be changed. But we're friends, and you know that. You know that by now. So they would go on to, inspire a lot of that type of genre. And I don't even say just in the psychobilly oh my God, the psychobilly subgenre or genre, however you want to look at it. I consider them an influential rock and roll band artists, true artists of the craft of rock and roll. And they also influenced a lot of punk bands. I know like Henry Rollins of Black Flag, I really enjoyed the Cramps. To this day, their music is very popular. I mean, we just saw it on a Netflix show, which is Wednesday. And if you don't know the show Wednesday, we're not going to talk about it because, well, eventually we probably will, because we talk about all types of like anything that's influential in the subculture of horror punk, goth, rock, and just in general, we talk about all those things. So, that being said, their music is still used to this day, and they are considered, one of the most influential psychobilly bands. Now let's start to the beginning. There has been several members of the Cramps that have come and gone, but they are a husband and wife duo that have really been the basis of the band. They are the most, influential, credited, of whether it goes with, playing music wise, talent, artistic credibility, stage presence. And we are talking about Lex Interior. Lex Interior, sorry. I thought I was going to poke my eye there for a minute. Lex Interior and Poison Ivy Rorschach. I know a lot of people just call her Poison Ivy, but I like to say Rorschach because that is based off of the Rorschach test. And also Rorschach is the name, I believe, of the person that created that test. That's right. The queen of rock and roll herself, Poison Ivy. Man, oh man. What an amazing guitarist, not just as a female guitarist in, the music world, but an incredible melody writer and guitarist. So the band was formed in 1976 and they were active until 2009. We'll go over, what happened in 2009 towards the end. So we're just going to go over a little bit of facts and details that I happen to know about the Cramps. And of course, keep in mind, this is based off of my memory and just me just really remembering as a teen listening to the Cramps. Well, oh well, where's my pencil sharpener? That's right, I still use pencil and a lip liner and all of that. I'm going to do a very basic, simple makeup. Like my hoodie. It's a Misfits hoodie. Die, my darling. I'm sure you can hear me just getting into everything. And of course, I will speed up the video. I know I would get bored. The world is just crazy right now. Absolutely nuts. Absolutely insane. I did my liner. Yeah, it's good enough. It's good enough. So the two would go on to form the Cramps. The two would actually meet. Now, there are two different dates I've seen just to clarify in regards to how they met. I've seen 1973 and I've seen 1974. So I believe the correct date is 73 when Lux met his wife, Poison Ivy, which would become, of course, the guitarist of their band. He would meet her while she was hitchhiking. I believe he picked her up. And the two became inseparable since then. They would bond over their love of the macabre, the science fiction, you know, horror, that sort of thing, that sort of jazz, that we all love and enjoy. And if you're on my channel, you probably love and enjoy those things too, Or if you know me and we're good friends, you love and enjoy those things as well. What a power couple, What a perfect match. Who'd have thought that this lady that he would pick up and help out would become his forever partner into his life. That's so cool. So when they formed the Cramps, it was definitely their love of like science fiction, retro science fiction. Their font was actually based off of the Tales from the Crypt comic font. So I will show a picture of that, the original one back in the day. You'll see it on the screen. And then I will compare it to their logo. I know I'm contouring and I probably look insane. This is a new contour stick, by the way. I've only used this like once, but I like to contour pretty heavy on my face. So they would move to Ohio, or they stayed in Ohio originally. They lived there. Eventually the two, I'm going to use this setting spray. This one has rose water in it, which is pretty good. I know I usually do my eyes first, but today I am going to work in my contour first. So they would move to Ohio when they were first originally together. Then they would pack up and move to New York. Now, their move to New York was important in the aspect that that's when, during the time of CBGBs. Now, CBGBs, if you do not know, that's okay. I'll just give you a brief introduction as to what CBGBs is. CBGBs is one of the most legendary punk rock bars to exist in the history of punk. Now, this included bands that would also play there. The most known one everyone would know is the Ramones. There's a picture of the Ramones right here. Picture action. Probably the most famous and known bands, whether it be punk, rock and roll, whatever you want to categorize them as. Another band that you may recognize from CBGBs would be the Dead Boys. So this time period is very important in regards to the Cramps because that's when they would move. I'm just blending, sorry. I don't know why I'm apologizing. You know that this is why this is going to take a while. Now they would go through, I believe, 2 drummers. I'm going to go ahead and put the list of the members on screen as well because there have been several different members that have changed throughout the history of the Cramps. In 1978, they would actually play, was one of their most known gigs in the history of the Cramps, which is they would actually play at a mental institute. The mental institute was actually the California State Mental Hospital. I want to say that was in Napa. Yeah, it was in Napa. It was in Napa. And of course, it was recorded as well. And it was called Live at Napa State Mental Hospital. Because they always said that they were crazy, That's what the people were saying about the Cramps back in the day, is that they were crazy. Oh no, you can't have the Cramps come by, but everyone absolutely would pack, whatever bar, anywhere the Cramps would play. The bar would be packed. It would, you know, it was on fire. Lex would do, you know, crazy things on stage. We can only talk about a few of them. He would sometimes run around on stage, perform in women's underwear. Usually the show would contain him, you know, removing his pants in some form. But they were absolutely wild. And everyone wanted to always like check out the Cramps, you know. That I think that looks that's pretty well blended. I'm gonna try to fast forward some of this or just edit it out. So I did double check. Like I said, I did hear different things of when Lux and Poison Ivy met, but I also saw as early as 1972, just to go back to that. Because I was like, let me double check because I've heard like two or three different things, but the most like one I've heard was 73, but Wikipedia says 1972. Either way, they got together to be, you know, what they're known as. Eventually, after going to New York, you know, this is, you know, I don't know if this is speculation or if this was actually mentioned somewhere, but apparently there was some frustration that they were not being taken as a serious band or they were being taken as like a joke band, a hokey band, like, like, you know, I guess because of their style and what they were all about. But you know, that's the price you pay for being an innovator of anything, whether it be music, style, fashion. That's the price you pay. You know, you're gonna there's gonna be people that misunderstand you, you know. And that's okay, that's on them. If they don't get it, then you know, that's just not your tribe, and that's totally cool. Let's see, what color are we going to use? I think I'm gonna go with Thriller. And yes, I did my eyebrows off camera because, as you know, I can never get them right. And that's why I also, you know, will probably pause and come back just because I might have some. I'm a messy, you know, eyeshadow putter. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a mess when I put on eyeshadow. Like, I get it everywhere. Use this green. I very rarely use this green, but I like it. It's called Thriller. It's in the Vincent Price palette. And I believe this palette lights up in the black light. I believe some of the colors do, or all the colors. I've actually think I've used this color before in one of the other videos. So the Cramps would eventually relocate after New York to Los Angeles in 1980. Now, in 1980, they would find and hire a guitarist by the name of Kid Congo Powers of the Gun Club. And this is, of course, while they were recording their second LP, which is Psychedelic Jungle. Check it out. Now, gradually, the band and Miles Copeland would eventually enter a lawsuit over some royalties. Nothing would actually be resolved until about like 1983. See, looks pretty good, I think. It's a pretty nice color. And around that time, they would record a female. I'm going to stumble a lot if you haven't known, and if you subscribe here, you know why, because my my ADHD mind has a hard time doing two things at once, and that is doing my eyeshadow and talking, or just talking in general. And then I babble sometimes, like I'll completely go off subject. But you know, that is just part of my charm. That is legitimately just part of my charm, I think, or at least I choose to think that. You know, if you don't love yourself, how do you expect people to love you? Oh, that's nice. That is nice. I like that. So, Smell of Female was live at New York's Peppermint Lounge. Kid would depart from the Cramps, and then Mike Medoff of the Pagans would actually come in and be the second guitarist for the Cramps. And this is, of course, you know, this is the pre-bass era of the Cramps. Let's see, what else can I tell you? They did record a track in 1985 for Return of the Living Dead. It was called Surfin' Dead. If you've never seen Return of the Living Dead, you should. It's a great zombie movie. Classic, definitely, for sure. Definitely a classic. I need that brush. Where's the brush I need? Right there. I have so many makeup brushes, but I'm so picky on which ones I want to use for different things. The Cramps would eventually add a permanent bass player to their band, I believe in 1986. I wasn't there, okay? I wasn't even born yet. I wasn't thought of. But I'm going to do my best to share what I know, you know? I used a lot of this black. That's okay. I have hooded eyes, so sometimes you just can't see my eyeshadow. I'm going to be honest with you. So I'm going to try to get through this eyeshadow as fast as I can. So let's go ahead. You know, they finally get a bass player in 1986. I believe I said 86. I want to say it was 86. Now let's go ahead and let's move to the future. Let's go ahead and bring it to the 90s. Now the 90s, the Cramps would actually hit top 40 in the UK with Bikini Girls with Machine Guns. Bikini Girls with Machine Guns. And of course, they would still perform, except for the crowds got larger around that time, you know, for them. I think I need to bring this out here. And if you're listening on audio wondering what the hell I'm talking about when I say that, I'm referring to my eyeshadow because I have to talk to myself. You know, I'm surprised I haven't had a lot of like fall for my eyeshadow here. Let's put this over. I believe they actually played that on Much Music or Fuse. I believe that was around. I could have sworn I've seen an interview with them on there. Let me clip this up a little right here. Now, the band would go on to make several appearances. Lux would be making an appearance in Bram Stoker's Dracula. I believe they were also, or he was in an episode of SpongeBob SquarePants. I think I've read that somewhere. I never saw the episode, but I did read it somewhere. The band would also appear in Beverly Hills 90210, the original one. And we're not talking about like later on in the future, but the original one. It was a Halloween episode called Gypsies, Cramps, and Fleas. They would play 2 songs, and it would be Mean Machine and Strange Love. And yes, I looked at my notes for that just so that way I can make sure I set the right tracks, because if not, I would have set the wrong ones. I promise you that. I like that. I really dig this green. I do. Put a little bit of this yellow here. Just a tad in the center. I'm going to blend it in. So you can see right here. Me. And then I'm going to fix my crease again. The crease in my eyelid. I know it's weird that I take that much time to do that because I have like hooded eyelids and you can't really see it. But there's just always like a part of me that always does it. Am I good at it? Absolutely not. I am absolutely not good at it. And that's okay. I've never been one to actually do my makeup perfectly, or I always do it the same. I remember someone actually made fun of me for that, for like doing my makeup the same, like all the time. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry, man. That's just who I am. Never said I was a professional at it. And then I'm gonna blend it out. Blend it out. In 2002, the Cramps would release their final album, which is Fiends of Dope Island. And that would actually be self-released. They would release it on their own. It was from their own label. All right. It's doing, looks a lot better than I thought. The final show in 2006 in Europe. I'm looking to see which lip color I'm going to use. I think I'm going to use this one. So their final summer tour was actually in 2006, and their final live show, and that was in the UK. Their final live show was actually in Temple, Arizona. And that was November 4th of 2006. Yeah, I think this color's good. Now let me go put my eyeliner on and I will be back and we'll finish up. We'll wrap it up. This is not going to be very long, and yeah, we'll wrap it up. Okay, I'm back. I also put my eyelashes on. I always have a hard time putting like larger ones on, but I did it today. So I'm very proud of myself for that. And I'm just going to like smudge out my waterline a little bit. And then I'm going to put my blush on. Which, as you know, is I always use it from the same palette or a different palette. But I don't actually own blush, you know. I used to, but less makeup to carry when I travel. And I want to blend this out a little bit more. I always like a little bit of a messy look, you know. And I always like to bring a little bit of whatever color I'm wearing underneath right here. See? If you can. So in 2009, on February 4th, Lux would actually pass away. He was suffering with AD, which is, I believe it's erratic dissection. I might be mispronouncing that, but here it's on the screen. Either way, it's an artery condition that it was pre-existing. He's always had it. I'm not a doctor, so I can't go into details as to exactly what the description of it. I just know it has something to do with one of the like arteries. And it was a shock, his passing, but that's what he passed away with. It was AD. Let's see. So, I mean, that's pretty much it. That's like the generalized, just a, general rundown if you don't know who the Cramps are. Husband and wife band actually influenced and brought together an entire genre of music. They often refer to themselves as gothabilly, not rockabilly or psychobilly. But that is what would lead us to what we know as psychobilly today. That's good. That's great. Yeah, totally dig it. I like that. I like this green. I do. And I hardly wear green. Hardly. But let me just blend this out a little bit here. A little more. And they were very much influenced by like the 1950 style rockabilly, and then it would merge into meet into like this type of like rock and roll, which rockabilly, psychobilly, gothabilly. And here's a list of their discography and of course their albums. As you can see, they're on this side of the screen. No, this side, which is Songs the Lord Taught Us, which is probably one of the best albums. Psychedelic Jungle, A Date with Elvis, Stay Sick, Look Mom, No Head, Flame Job, Big Beat from Badsville, and of course, Beans a Dope Island. Now it's pretty much just a little bit of a history there. Just a quick one. And this whole time I did not pin my hair up. Probably should have. It would have helped. It really would have helped. Ain't that right, Godzilla? It's my co-host right there. And of course, we can name like all of those types of like that style bands. You could definitely check out other bands along a similar genre like 45 Grave, Creeper. Creeper is a absolute banger of a band. Check them out. And of course, as you know, we always talk about horror punk here. And let me look at my notes to see if I really missed anything. I know I've made a lot of key points. They did appear on Late Night with Conan O'Brien. This is when before Conan was just called Conan. This was when he had his first late night show. So they were on there. And a lot of their sound would be influenced by Sun Records. So this is, of course, this is the logo of Sun Records. You would know them from like Elvis, Johnny Cash, that type of genre music. Let me see who else was on Sun Records. There was a lot of artists on Sun Records, so check it out. If I don't have time to go into the history of Sun Records. It's pretty long, but Lux and Poison Ivy apparently claim that they own like the majority, or if not all, the discography from Sun Records. So I mean that's pretty cool. It's an interesting fact. Well, either way, I have to go. I'm gonna go do my hair, change, and get going. Once again, like I said, this is just a brief summary of the Cramps. And like, share, subscribe if you like music, you like makeup, and of course, click the link in the description if you want up to 20% off, or if you want to get this palette, which is the Vincent Price palette. Anyways, later. I'll see you next week. Bye.